I'm recording. Yeah.
Okay. So I learned to swim, and
you guys went to a racetrack just to get away from all the bombings and
yeah,
everything that happened in your township, right? Yeah, this was in
yeah,
1972. Yeah.
yeah, and I ended up getting hit by a car, virtually losing one leg, virtually losing another, two fractures, and basically been cut in half, basically nearly cut in half. So it's quite a dramatic sort of way to lose your leg, you know. And I tell kids I lost my leg with a shark attack, which is always dramatic.
I like that story. Yeah.
That's a better story. But so when I learned to swim, and I passed, and at about 17, I started to get back into swimming again. And I done there was a competition each year in Ireland where we lived, and it was a Caliber. Caliber was a non-alcoholic beer, and they promoted a swim, and it was you had to swim 1 kilometer in the pool. So I'd done that, and in the first year I done it in 23 minutes.
Okay.
And the next year I done it in 11 minutes and 3 seconds.
Way to go.
So that got me picked for my country Paralympic team in Ireland.
Okay.
And I didn't get to the Olympics. The Paralympics at that stage was only really starting to take off. You know, it was in the mid 80s. It wasn't the way it is now. We hadn't that structure, etc., etc. There also, to be fair, there wasn't the publicity and the realization that people with disabilities can actually take part in sport on equal and if not better terms. You know.
Yeah. I think the spirit behind the Paralympics is much stronger than the regular mainstream sports.
Yeah, 11 minutes for 1,000 meters is quite good swimming.
It is. Yeah.
You know, there's very few people can take you on and beat you at that stage, you know. And so I started to play water polo as well in my local team, and we were the very first match we played water polo, we were beat 47-0. How do you let in 47 goals in a water polo match in 28 minutes is good, you know? But the thing about our team was we were all excellent swimmers. One of the guys was swimming 57 seconds for 100 meters. We were all really strong swimmers, but we couldn't play water polo. So we learned how to play water polo, and we learned how to defend ourselves. And we learned how to be vicious in water polo, and we learned how to play water polo. And 2 years later, we won the All-Ireland League.
Where to go?
So we went from getting beat 47-0 in 2 years actually winning the league, you know, which was quite a turnaround. But it wasn't our swimming ability we did it to improve. It was just learn how to play water polo.
That's it. Yeah.
You know? And that sort of stuck by me because I don't know if have you ever played water polo?
I have.
Yeah.
My tail end of my amateur swimming, the last season I played water polo, I had so much fun.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a dangerous game, but you got a couple of good knocks in it, you know.
Yes, yeah.
And many's the time I'd cuts in my eye and all sorts of stuff. But what it done was it taught you a fear to get rid of a fear of getting hit by water in the face, etc. You know, and it built your core strengths, I think, in water.
Yeah.
You know, so I got married. I had 2 kids. My 2 kids are called Cathal and Tiernan. Cathal is now a nurse in Belfast, and he's qualified a year and a half. And Cathal has spent a year and a half at the front end of COVID, and he works in the emergency department, and he also does shifts in the ICU. So Cahill's had a baptism of fire with COVID, and I'm incredibly proud of him that he stood up and took that challenge on. And the other guy is Tiernan. He's doing biochemical engineering, and he was doing a lot of the testing for COVID. But what he's actually doing now, he's doing forensic biochemical engineering at the minute. He's a year out from he's still another year to do in university after this.
Okay.
So
nice.
I don't know where they got the brains from, but
they got the drive from you, though.
Maybe they got the drive from me. Maybe I don't know. But listen, my marriage broke up, and I drifted away from swimming, and I would go back to swimming, and I would come dip in and out of it and go back to it, but there was nothing really. But it had a powerful hold over me. And it really wasn't letting go. It was there somewhere in my soul and my heart. And then I met Martina. And Martina really was the spark that really changed everything again in my life. Because going through a divorce is tough and it's hard. Emotionally and physically and mentally, it's just a tough time to go through, and so the growth in open water swimming had started around this particular area, really. And maybe I was a wee bit arrogant, and I was thinking, going, I can beat those times, and there was a lot of different things. There's a local triathlon around where I live, and I was started to help out at that via Martina. And then I got involved with Canmore Lake, the water festival at Canmore Lake, and there wasn't one thing came together. It was like the universe was putting about 10 different things at me, and it was slowly drawing me back. And Martina, for my Christmas present, Martina bought me membership of a gym and a pool. Nice. And on the 2nd of January, I jumped in and I swam a mile. And I hadn't swam in a year. I went in and swam a mile. And Martina turned around and says, "Where did you get that from?" And I couldn't answer it. It was just in me, So I started to train more. And my longest swim in open water, we done Canmore Lake, which is a 2.7k long lake. And I swam that, and I done it in 42 minutes. And I really wanted to get under the 40 minutes.
Okay.
So the next year, the training upped up a wee bit more, and I done it on a Friday night. I done it in 38 minutes and 10 seconds on that. So I was quite happy with that.
It is.
I was still in a wetsuit at this stage. Okay. So on the Sunday, I done a 5k swim. And I'd never swam 5k in open water before. So I done a 5k swim, and that was good and fine, and everything went well. And so we went out to the local pub that evening. The crew who organised this swimming event, we have an event that we put in loads of different swimmers, different levels all over the weekend. And so there's about 15 of us organising. And we went out for a few beers in a local pub. I live in a wee village. Okay, and everybody knows each other, and the pub is, you can light the fire in the pub yourself if you want to, and stuff like that. And we were having a typical wee Irish pub, and we were having a few beers, and the guy who now owns Infinity, Podrick Mallon, Podrick sat down beside me, and now, Podrick at that stage had swam the English and the North Channel within 6 weeks of each other solo.
Oh my God. Awesome.
Right. So I also swam in Siberia. Just a tough swimmer and a tough guy and a good friend of mine as well. And so Podrick sits down beside me, and he's looking at me and he's laughing. And he has this piece of paper in his hand. I kid you not, a wee piece of paper. And one of my other mates is an anaesthetist, and he turned around, he sat beside me as well, and he says, "I have to sign this piece of paper without looking at it." Okay. And I'm going, "What is it?" And says, "You're not allowed to see the piece of paper." And the guy who's the anaesthetist says, "I'm a doctor, I'll witness that." Now I don't know why he said that, but anyway, so I signed the piece of paper on the line. I didn't know what I was signing. And I opened it up when I signed it, and it was North Channel next year in relay, and don't feck it up. And that's what that was.
All the wrong people in your life.
Yeah, but maybe all the good people in my life, you know.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
I call them as all the wrong people in my life.
Yeah, so we got ourselves a team. I was not the member of the team. I was this guy called John McElroy, another very good friend who I'd played water polo with for years and years and years. John was the captain of the team, and there was 6 of us in our team. And the following July, we named our team Team 11 Feet because we had 11 feet between 6 of us.
Okay.
So I had the absolute privilege to start we demand that you do in Infinity, you have to sustain 3K an hour in open water. That's what we expect of you.
Yeah.
And we had to do a time trial, and I done it in 47 minutes. So I was going in first. You have to use your strong swimmers with the tide to get advantage. Okay, because that's when you make the advantage. Because when the tide turns in the North Channel, you mightn't get one of the guys got 100 meters in an hour. You know, in my hour I got 5 kilometers, but I had a tide. Yeah. So I was the guy that started the swim at 4. Now I have a wee photograph here. I'm going to show it to you here as well. My wife done me a book after this. Okay, so there's our team.
Nice. Okay.
Team 11 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to lower it down? I can see the faces. There. Yeah. Okay.
That's our team.
Who's Doc Rogers?
No, he's not yet. No, he's not in this one yet. Okay.
Yet. Okay.
He comes on, and this is me at 4:30 in the morning. Can you see this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm getting shouted at.
Okay.
And I was the guy that started the swim, and it was phenomenal. And I also was the person that had the privilege of swimming into Scotland.
Way to go. Awesome.
And that is an honor that I do really get very emotional about that, because it was such a, these guys had placed a lot of faith in me and then I was probably the fastest swimmer in the team, and they knew they realized that I was going to stand up and do this, and it's a very emotional thing. You're bonded to these people, you know, and it's something people knock relay teams, etc., but it's something that's very
the camaraderie that goes with a relay team is very different.
Yeah, and so I swore I would never do it again. Absolutely swore blind I would never do that again. And a year later, I found myself back in the same position. 5 o'clock in the morning on a boat, starting to swim to Scotland.
Okay. How many times have you guys done this?
I've done the North Channel twice.
Okay.
Now, in the first time I done it, I became the first amputee in the world to cross the North Channel.
Okay.
In Beautiful. Any shape or form. And there is the 2 medals. I have them down here. There's one.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
And there is, so just in case you think I'm showing you the same medal twice, I'm not actually. Look, there's the 2. Look, there's the 2 medals.
Beautiful.
So, the next year, another friend of mine, I have all these friends who seem to be mad, emailed me to work and said, do you want to swim the English Channel? And now at this stage, myself and Martina, we had agreed to get married. Well, I had asked her to marry me, and we were going to get married in Italy. This was the following September. And now we were going to have a very quiet wedding. Only 4 of us were going over. And I said, Noel, I'm getting married next year. I have to save for a wedding. We're going to Italy. And he goes, ask Martina. So I come home and I said, Martina, I have something to ask you. And she says, what? And I said, Noel Grimes wants to know, will I'd be part of a team to swim to front to the English Channel. And Martina turned around and says, "You might never get that chance again. Why don't you take it?" And a week later, we were sitting in Dover.
Is Martina in the house right now?
No, she's going to see her friend.
Okay, I wanted to say hi to her. Yeah,
she is. We have wee bubbles, people we visit over here with COVID.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Trisha's. It's the only house we actually go to visit. And I do visit my mum. We sit outside. So a week later, we were in Dover, and 4 days after, we arrived in Dover on the Thursday, and on the Tuesday we swam across to France. And I was the guy that swam into France, which was great.
Beautiful, awesome. Yeah.
And there is my English Channel medal.
Nice.
So that's my swimming story. I'm also an open water lifeguard. And I decided I wanted to swim the North Channel solo.
Okay.
So 3 years ago, I made a commitment to do that. And 5 weeks from my perspective window, 5-6 weeks, my shoulder gave in. And I had swam probably around 600,000 meters in a year from January to July.
Oh my God, okay.
It's brutal swimming, it's terrible training, and it's exhausting, it's mentally tiring, it's just... And I knew in the heart of hearts that I couldn't go across the North Channel on my own. And Podrick, he's going to be part of my crew. And one of my swims involved them coming to my door at 4:30 in the morning, and they didn't tell me. And they took me out of my bed, put me on a boat, and took me to the edge of the Irish Sea. And I was the guinea pig for the first time ever to do this swim. And they swam me right up through Carnford, through Seals and that. So that was at 4:30 in the morning, and we swam to 9 o'clock in the morning. And we done 12.5 kilometers. It was quite a good swim. But I knew myself, Podrick asked me, was I bulletproof? And I said to him, no. I knew in my heart of hearts that I couldn't get across. Simply because if my shoulder started to give me pain, my head would have thinking, is this just normal pain from swimming for X amount of time, or is my shoulder going to give in? And you have to be very brutal with yourself, I think, at that stage. And my longest training swim at that stage had been 8.5 hours.
Wow.
So your qualifying swim 6 hours. I think I'd done about 10 6-hour swims.
Oh my God, okay.
The 8.5, but I just knew I couldn't get across, and I didn't think it annoyed me as much. I think the decision was made for me because my shoulder was not letting me do it. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Are you planning to, how are you addressing your shoulder? What's your plan right now?
Well, I would roughly do a 25 meter. I would do about 18 strokes to 25 meters. So roughly I'd done 600,000 meters, and I was breathing every 2 strokes. So my sister and my brother-in-law are both physios, and I got it scanned. Luckily, I didn't need an operation. I just needed to rest it and get physio. And I also had my brother-in-law looked at me and said, David, the problem is your over-rotation in your shoulder. And because of your amputation, you don't have the core stability. Right. I says, to cure your problem, you have to adjust your stroke. So I went to the pool at Infinity, and I got the cameras out, and I put a thing on, did you swim today? And there was a girl who trains the Australian Paralympic team, Diana, I forget her second name. She lives in America, in the States. And she asked me to send videos over. and she looked at them, and she does a lot of disability swimming, and we worked out that by breathing every 4 strokes, I cut down the rotation by 50%.
Way to go.
And I also had to learn to swim with my arms farther apart. Now that's harder said than done, because I'd been used to doing this way. But
exactly, yeah.
After a year, I was grand. I was swimming fine, and we'd done a thing called 100-100, which is 100 meters 100 times off 2 minutes, and I hadn't a ache nor pain in my shoulder.
There you go. Awesome.
It was working, and then COVID arrived.
Okay, which is good. Right now you're resting, so once the COVID is cleared,
well,
you're in the channel.
Yeah, I'm not finished with that channel. What I didn't.
I believe in you. With everything that you have gone through, this shoulder pain is nothing.
Yeah, it had to be addressed. I spent a lot of time this lockdown. We've had 2 lockdowns, and the second one over the winter, which is a lot harder. And we had a very bad winter this year. We had a lot of snow. We don't normally get as much snow as we did, but we got a lot of snow this year. And as a result of the snow, 8 weeks ago, I came in from the house and I slipped and I broke dislocated and broke my finger, and it's still not right. But I'm not finished with the North Channel.
Where to go?
And there's something in me that has to drive me. We had booked to do the Straits of Gibraltar. I don't know how that's going, because it was put off. We were due to do it this year, but it's been put off to next year.
Way to go. So, which is good. Yeah, but you know what? I can see you getting across the North Channel, because the times that you mentioned, hundreds on 100 seconds, is not an easy workout.
No.
It's not.
No, we do that. I've done that. I think I've done that 4 times, and it's a hard session.
It is a hard set. Yeah.
Now I'm lucky. I have used to have a 25-meter pool. I'm only swimming 4 days a week. I'm finding it difficult with this finger to swim hard, but I done 50-50s there on Monday, off a minute, and then I had another set. So I'm doing about 2.5-3K a session at the minute. It's not an awful lot, but it's keeping you ticking over.
Okay.
How
do you do your flip turns? Yeah. You don't do flip turns. You touch the wall.
No, I do a flip turn.
Flip turn. Okay.
Yeah. One of my training sessions in the pool for when I was doing the training for the North Channel was I came in one day, and on the board was 6 500 meters of kicking only.
You have to. I'm sorry. I might ask you a question, and if I don't want to offend you, but think that I'm ignorant. Okay. I'm actually curious how you would do a flip turn, because you were amputated above your knees. So how was it like? Yeah. Okay.
Terrible.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you just do it, and you put a flipper on. You have a fin, and you just put your board in front of you, and you just concentrate on doing 20 lengths, and then you take your break, and you get a drink, and you stretch your leg, and you do it again.
Okay.
And then you do it again, and you do it again,
awesome.
And then you do it again. And you don't look at 6 of them. You look at the one you're doing.
It's like eating an elephant.
Yeah, I have my mind.
Mark, David.
Hello,
yeah. You broke up for a while, yeah.
No, when I'm halfway through a set, and it's tough, my head is at the end of the lake I swim in, and I'm coming home, because every stroke's taking me back to my shore. But we'll be getting into the lakes now. I helped train a girl last year My longest swim last year was 18 kilometers. She was swimming through the North Channel. Turned out she couldn't do it either. The weather went against her. But my job was to sit in front of her for 18 kilometers, 18 1K kilometers to teach her, to pace her. And I'm faster than her, so it was hard. But we done that exactly in 6 hours. We done 18 kilometers in exactly 6 hours. You know, so
wow, way to go. That is fast. Yeah. Can you show me your buns? You must be like super strong.
No, not really. I do have big shoulders. Like,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
but what I really want to do is it Madhu, is it how I pronounce your name?
Yeah, Madhu. Yeah.
Madhu. I've been doing a lot of thinking, talking to people about, I'd call it my head coach, and she gets into my head and asks me questions that are really difficult to answer sometimes, you know, and because you have to search your soul, this stuff. I swim with Bruce Springsteen in my head. I sing Bruce Springsteen songs to myself.
Okay.
I'm gonna say something to you, okay? And I want you to think about this, okay? A guy told me once to say hello to the water.
Where's mom? 1 second, yeah.
Nope.
Sorry, yeah. Tell me, yeah.
You're fine. A guy told me once, I have to speak to the water, and the water will answer me back. And I looked at him and I says, "You're mad," you know. I genuinely, that was my first response. And he said to me, "Say hello to the water when you're swimming in the water. Say hello to it and talk to it." Okay, so I'm saying you're just loopy like this. So I started to say hello to the water. He also said it will answer you when you're least expecting it. All right. So I know you're struggling to come to terms with this. I did. Okay. So when we were doing our 100 100s, you lose time of where you are. You have somebody in the crew they're counting them off. And I genuinely thought we were sitting on 75 100s done. And I thought it's 25 more to do. And I stopped at the end. And I remember saying to the water, I've been talking to you for the last 4 months and you haven't answered me back. And I said, why don't you answer me back now, please? And I stopped and I thought I was in 75. And Jacqueline said, that's 95 done.
Way to go.
So that was the water answering me back in that particular way. That might sound mad, does it?
Beautiful. I'm with you. Like everything that you're saying, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
No, but so I've done a lot of talking this a girl this year about my head, a lot of stuff. And one of them was talking it out with my crew about the mistakes we made in the swimming, etc., etc., etc. They were very hard conversations, but we done them and they were good to have. But I want to get into talking to people with disabilities about swimming, simply because I have got a lot of stuff in my life that people assume because I have a limb missing that I can't swim fast. And you go up to swimming competitions and long distance swimming, and they sort of look at you with not now because they've got to know me now, but and it's still to the point as well. It's still people think, oh, there's a guy with one leg. Long distance swimming must be easy because he can do it, or you can't do that distance because you have one leg. People assume that because they think you can't do it, obviously you can't do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So my point is I want to get into people's head and spread the word that people with disabilities can do things.
Yeah.
And yes, yes, it's not easy. Absolutely not. I think at the level I'm at, you can't really have you. It's very hard to put into the right words. You can't sit back and feel sorry for yourself at this level. You have to do it, and it involves some seriously hard training. But if you're prepared to do it, do it. And there is. I'm not big into motivational quotes. I don't believe in it. I think a lot of it's nonsense. But I do think the only person holding you back is yourself.
Yep. Yep.
And also you're going to come up against people, and it's education to people as well. People assume things that you can't do things, you know. And so the long way, I don't know how you'd find out. I must actually ask me how you found out about me. Was it because I had like talked to Rohan or something? Was it?
Yeah, you made a comment up on Rohan's post. You remember I've been posting ordinary people do
Yes.
extraordinary things.
Yeah.
So that's the first time that I came across you. And then I spent a couple of minutes going through your profile, and I found out that, okay, hey, you swam. So I was curious about you, and hey, would you be interested to participate in it? Because every one of us have done something crazy. It's not summiting Mount Everest, it's not swimming across the channel, but to every individual, to some, just getting out of the couch, to doing their mundane things might be a challenge, right?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
their accomplishment. That's their accomplishment. Yeah. So that is the one. That's the core strength. Like like you mentioned something. You have to do it. Everything you have to hold yourself accountable. Mike Oram from Channel Swimming and Piloting Federation actually says something. Yeah. So I came across. I met Mike in 2003. So the only person that you ever lie to is yourself.
Yep.
So I've always held that very close to my heart, and so that's what I want to focus. I know many a times people have a list of things like their swimming resume, but outside their swimming world, they have a life. How do they manage these things and still accomplish? Right? That's where I want to go to. And also many a times, many of my swimming friends, although they're great swimmers, but they've accomplished a lot in their professional life as well. So I want to merge those things together.
Yeah, I think I do talk to people who have recently lost limbs or who have to lose a limb. And I have talked 3 people into losing limbs. Now, that's a very hard conversation to have with people, to tell.
It is.
You know, and a lot of people at the beginning, and I don't blame them, they don't want to talk to you, and they don't, but they gradually come around to the way of thinking. And I know that one girl in particular who lost a limb, and she told me after it, she says, "You never told me it was going to be so sore." And I said, "Well, I wasn't going to tell you that because you wouldn't get it done." But it was a different type of pain she was going through.
Yeah.
She had a big ulcer in her foot, but when you lose your limb, it's a different pain, and but it's a pain that goes away slowly.
Yeah.
Her ulcer pain was never going to go away, you know. And so I have talked to people. I've worked out in Belarus at Chernobyl, working in orphanages and that as well. But I really want to get into teaching people. I've done my level 1 teaching swimming, and I really want to get into teaching people with disabilities swimming. But I want to get the word out there. And I don't know if you do talks and things, Zoom talks to people. That's something I really want to get into and talk to people about this.
Here is what I'm planning to do with this particular conversation. So I'm going to take this raw video and I'm going to upload this on video on YouTube. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, yeah.
You're okay with that, right? Yeah. So, and then maybe we'll have, I had never thought about having a conversation with a swimmer. I mean, it's just because, okay, I do so many things. I have a busy work life. And then with the ordinary things, doing extraordinary things, I spend about, there is a set amount of time that I can dedicate. And then that's how I collect that. And I also don't bug people. I only send them a notice, like ask for this like once, 2 times at the most. And if people want to participate, I embrace that. Else, I don't bother them again. That's
What can I ask? What's your swimming background?
Do you really want to know my swimming background?
Yeah.
I'm not as accomplished as you.
No, it doesn't matter.
I swam age group in India. I swam through university on swimming scholarship. I was pretty decent. Yeah. Okay. My favorite stroke was 200 fly. That was my favorite event. And I did medleys, and I never swam long distance. And then I came to North America to do my master's in computer science. And then I was working in California for about 5 years, and then I lost my job. That's when I went back to swimming. So one thing led to another. I got into open water swimming. My first ever open water swim was in California. And then the very same year, I think I did a 10K open water swim, and I ended up coming second in the nationals. It was the USMS Nationals. And then the following year, I swam across the English Channel.
Solo?
Solo, yeah. 2004, August 10th, 2004, yeah. So I did it in 12 hours and 31 minutes. Yeah.
Excellent. Well done.
And
see, you've done more than I have. You've done a solo swim.
No. You know what? Like everything that you have done is just amazing. Yeah, because I know pain, and I know because every time I get injured, how it impacts morally, like how much. I mean, I need to dig deep to get myself out of it, right? But what you have accomplished is just mind blowing.
No, it's not. But it's not. I don't regard myself as mind blowing. There's a common phrase now used, and I think it's overused. And I'm going to say something to you, and I want you to give you what the first thing comes into your head, okay? And there's no wrong answer to this, okay? If I say to you, you hear something, say for instance, there's a terrorist attack in, God forbid, Toronto, okay? And you'll hear that there's been 20 people killed and 35 people are injured, and they have life-changing injuries. How do you think, what's the first thing coming into your head with life-changing injuries? Is that good or bad?
I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah.
A lot of people would say bad because they assume that their life is over. I look at it the different way. I look at maybe it's done, maybe what will come out of that will be far better than what you have done, but if you haven't got them injuries. But I'm looking at it from a different point of view. I've lost my leg 47 years. I can look at it with that different sense. But I genuinely look at it going, it doesn't, just because it might be life-changing, doesn't mean it has to be life-changing to negative.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm with you on that, yeah.
Yeah, so you could do something that, but you might never have done prior to that.
Yeah.
You know, and you could lose a limb, or you could. There's so many different things. It's how you adapt to what's happened to you probably is the best way to do that.
Yeah.
And I do think you have to surround yourself with very positive people. You do have to grieve, and it's very important to grieve for if you lose a limb.
Yeah.
Because that's all part of acceptance, particularly when you're older, and your family have to grieve. But it doesn't have to stop you.
Yeah.
And I don't regard my story as inspirational. I honestly, hand and heart do not regard that as inspirational. I just happen to swim. I've been given an opportunity to swim, and I've surrounded myself with people who see something in me that I don't see. And it is very hard. When you were doing the English Channel, I'm sure you went through times going, "Why am I doing this?" And we all go through that, and I didn't realize not doing the North Channel was going to affect me the way it did. I was broken by that, but that's behind me now, so I have to focus on going ahead again.
No, now that you've reconfigured yourself, not just the stroke and your mindset and your shoulders, I'm sure next year you will have a positive outcome. It's going to be a fantastic story. Believe me, yeah.
Well, listen, what did Edison say? He didn't fail making the light bulb. He discovered 900 and something ways that it didn't work.
It didn't work, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And eventually found the right way. And maybe maybe my journey across the North Channel is just going to take slower than some time. But I will get there.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. Do you know Carolyn Block?
Who?
Carolyn Block.
Oh, yes, I know Caroline well. Yes.
Very beautiful. Yeah, she actually, I know her very well. So I live very close to the lake. I'm about 800 meters from Lake Ontario.
Right.
So I'm one of the founders of Great Lakes Open Water Adventures. So we do an event called 24 Hours Swim. We just hang out in the lake.
Right.
Okay. And then, so Caroline actually comes and she usually does that with us. Yeah.
Caroline is just such a darling girl, and she's lovely.
She's one of my favorites. Yeah, she is. Yeah.
She'll swam over with us a load of times, and she's been up in my house a lot of times, and I still communicate with her a lot. Nice. And Caroline's just a really nice person.
She is a very nice person. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
She's very, very unassuming, and but I think that's what makes her even more endearing. What she has done has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yes. Yes.
And she's just a star, and she's very modest as well.
She is.
And
she's very modest.
I think when people are modest about what they've achieved, I think that is a sign of a good sports person. And
you're right. Yeah.
But that's what I want to do. So I don't know if that's something that comes into your line of thinking or not. I don't know.
No, it does. Like very similar to what you mentioned. Okay, hey, when you lost your leg, you found an opportunity. So when I lost my job, that was not the end of the world. I found an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like the best thing that has ever happened to me in life was losing my job in California. It has taught me to be a better person, to be a better leader, to be a better husband, to be a better father. I'm still working on my parenting skills, okay? Because I have a teenager right now, so I don't know how to deal with him. Yeah.
Bob wire in a shed.
So the best thing that has ever happened to me was losing my job. So I got across this channel, but when that actually gave me a portal into this wonderful group of people. So back in those days, the primitive days of internet, we used to have an email syndication where it was called the Channel Swimmers Group, where we would exchange knowledge about, hey, what happened, like how to, like the training sets, the mental aspect of a swim, the training programs, and like all the different failures in the channel. So I used to be an active participant just because I was curious. I wanted to learn a lot about, okay, why did people fail? Why do people fail? Okay, and the nutrition, everything. So I put in a lot of like a methodical approach to learn everything. And my wife, being a scientist, she actually helped me design my nutrition. We learned a lot about it. And then fortunately for me, my swim across the channel was uneventful. Everything went well. I got across. And then we moved back to Canada. And then, it took me a while to settle here. And then you must know this race in the Sahara Desert called Marathon des Sables.
Yeah, a girl I know, Lauren, a girl I swim with, Lauren, has actually done that.
Okay, so I have done that in 2010.
Right, so you're no slouch. You know what it's like to face
pain. Yeah, I literally crawled across the finish line. Yeah, believe me. The only reason I did not quit was because I did not want to go back to the desert. It was a gnarly, brutal race.
Yeah, you see, you described there that the best thing happened to you was losing your job. Okay, at that particular time, you couldn't see that, could you?
I couldn't, believe me. Yeah.
No.
Believe me,
Probably.
it was difficult. Yeah. I was going because I like the one thing was, okay, hey, there's something wrong with me. Why did I lose? But then the logistics of, because I was working in a foreign country, right? So when you work in a foreign country, you are working on a visa. So back in 2003, 2004, with the downturn in economy, there's so many Americans had lost jobs. So the only way a foreigner will get a job is when they prove that, okay, there's no other American who can replace this position. I couldn't qualify that. So
yeah.
So I couldn't get an employer sponsor me a visa. So I had to come in terms with it and then figure out a way to put my energy into swimming. But as I said, I came across the group of people in Dover where like, okay, hey, everybody can achieve whatever they can if they put their mind into it. So I became a better individual in terms of working in a team. It was not all about me. It was about, hey, people around me. It's about acknowledging human beings around me.
Yeah.
So what I know some people are born leaders. In my case, I had to learn to be a leader. So that experience taught me to be a better leader.
And you know something, you see, with COVID and this pandemic, I think we have learned that we don't need the things we thought we needed.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
And
yeah,
I think it has made us. We have a scheme over here where you're furloughed, where the government pay 80% of your wages. My job, I'll probably go back to work in May.
mm-hmm.
I have to say I've enjoyed being furloughed. I've got a lot of work done around the house. I was in the garden all day, putting my vegetable plat on, putting all stuff, getting the greenhouse sorted. I've enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of, but I'm very conscious of a lot of people have died. A lot of people have suffered. There's been a lot of domestic abuse. There's in cases of people are drinking too much. There's been a lot of alcohol, violence, etc. Put that to one side, and it's not to be diminished. I think I personally have realized that I think we got caught up in ourselves. And I think the world was maybe brought back a peg, you know. And I know my boss, he isn't a particularly nice person. He really isn't, you know. And he was planning this and he said nothing was going to stop us achieving this goal, but something did stop us. A wee thing that you can't see stopped us, you know.
Yeah.
And I think human arrogance was brought back a bit, you know.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
That's a whole different debate, you know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But listen, that is what I want to do. I don't know if that, and I said to you, is that something you want to get into?
I would love to. Yeah. You know what?
I do not want to be the.
Yeah, you have
I
fantastic
do not want to be
stories,
the
yeah.
only.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to be the only amputee to cross the North Channel in a relay or solo. I just do not want to be that. Why should I be that only person?
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, yes, it's nice to say you're the first, you know, it really is nice to say that, but it's no big deal, you know. It's somebody has to be the first, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
you can carve the path and show the world that anybody can do it.
yeah. So I'm. It's sort of a wee bit. It's not selfish. Like if I can promote, I never heard of your wee group until that come up, and it's lovely to see some of the stories, and some of the stories are really mind blowing.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
And
That's what I want to focus on. Yeah.
yeah, and it is ordinary people doing, like, soccer players and all here. They're paid far too much, and there's a certain amount of people think that you can only be a sports hero or a sports thing if you're earning loads of money, and that's nonsense. You know you know the group the group we swim with, we done a thing years ago, Camille. We called it the Blue Envelope Challenge.
Okay.
Okay, so you got a blue envelope in the post, and one of the guys, his challenge was swim across the North Channel. He done it in 9 hours 52 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, absolute phenomenal.
Who
Another
is this?
person's a fella called Keith Gary.
Keith Gary. Yeah.
Yeah. Another person challenge was to swim 25 meters of the pool because they were terrified of water.
Okay.
And one of the most one of the best challenges that was accepted, a girl contacted us and said she wanted to swim the lake that we swim in because her sister had took her life in that lake.
Oh my God. Yeah.
She wanted to get rid of that demon. So we said, yep, we'll arrange that for her. I said, we told her it's not to be put up on any social media. She didn't want it to be put up on social media. So we were doing it. We were taking people up the lake. We had a rate. The time we had the race, we were taking 30 people who wanted to do it, but we're going to be slow. So I had got 30 people to buddy swim them, and we started an hour before the actual race, the big race. So and this girl who was going to swim it, I got a fella to swim with her, and I knew where her sister had taken her life. I knew the spot, and I said to Shane, when you get to that spot, get to her right hand side and don't let her see it, and push her through there. Now, there's only 4 of us knew what she was up against, and she done it. And that was an amazing achievement for that girl to do that. That's as good as you swimming the English Channel, or as me doing what I done, or anything else. I
think it's bigger than that, because you mentioned, yeah, like, I mean, we like, I mean, I like most of the challenge that I went through in the channel was like you said, it's a privilege that we swim, right? But in her case, she had to deal with a situation where it was outside her control. She was brought into that situation, and how do you get out of it? Like, I mean, losing a family is not an easy thing.
No, and particularly losing a family member through suicide.
Suicide, exactly, yeah. Yeah. You know what? You enabling her to get through that, I think that is a noble cause.
No, well, and it was wonderful to see her after. She was very emotional after it.
Yeah.
But and we just left her, and I said, listen, you've done your sister proud here today. And she walked away, and she was a different girl.
She was a different person. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That to me was possibly one of the best things them Blue Envelope have achieved. And very, very, but please don't, that's the only thing I wouldn't really, well, I didn't give any names there. So,
yeah.
And it was never.
You know what I'm going to, like, this raw conversation that we have had, it's been over 45 minutes. I'm going to put this on YouTube if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't mind, can you send me a picture? I think you have sent me some pictures, but send me a picture of yourself and Martina.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to put this on Instagram, and then eventually it'll come on Facebook. Okay.
So listen, I have to say, I'm keeping you back from your day.
I'm glad I don't mind spending more time with you, but I know time is precious. But let's keep in touch. let's do something like, let's brainstorm and figure out a way to tell stories, share stories.
Yeah.
Right. This is all about like, I mean, your story has actually, I'm right now, I'm training for a 100-mile race in the Rocky Mountains. I'm going to be deriving a lot of energy from this conversation when I'm in pain.
Oh,
okay. Believe me, yeah.
But if I can help any person with particularly an amputation, because I'm probably used to that, if I can help anybody with questions, etc.,
yeah,
fantastic.
Sure.
I want to show you, just before you go, I want to show you something, okay?
Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in training, we have to use a pull by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I couldn't, because of my high level amputation, I couldn't hold a pull by. So we'd come up with all these different ideas about a pull by, and this was what we come up with. Look.
Okay.
You put your leg and you just strap it onto it, and it works.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people mightn't. That was such a simple. We had doctored it. We had put things at the side. We'd see, what can we? And I think we were overthinking it, and we were trying to change the wheel when the wheel was in front of us. And I just got myself an ankle strap.
Okay.
And put it on, and it works perfect.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah. So there's a wee tip that somebody with an amputee that you mightn't have heard of.
Yeah. Send me a picture of that as well. Okay.
Right. But listen, thank you very much. Have a think about what we talked about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hope I didn't go on too long.
No, you did not. Every minute of our conversation was wonderful. Thank you.
And I have to say, your own swim story is phenomenal. To anybody who crosses the channel, it to me is just something special.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. Like the best part of this getting across the channel was all the friendship all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I still cherish them. I still am in touch with them. And then the people that I met in the Sahara Desert, I met an Irishman who used to work for. I have his email address. I should have actually picked it up and shared his story. He used to work for Royal Bank of Scotland or Ireland. Is there a bank like that?
It's the Royal Bank of Scotland.
Royal Bank of Scotland, and he had lost his job at that point. And for a section of the desert, we were Sahara Desert. It's bloody painful. So we both were in a very
unforgiven.
Yeah. So we were in a very low spot, and we carried each other across that section. And we were in touch for the longest time. Yeah, I haven't. I'm going to look him up, and I'll send him an email.
Well, there's a guy. But you see, do you think? When you lost your job, maybe in America you had this, you had to have this certain lifestyle, etc. You don't really need that.
No.
You don't. Like,
yeah.
Me and Martina we're just very content with each other. We're married 4 years now in May.
Mm-hmm.
We just have great understanding for each other. Martina retired in January. Mm-hmm. She took early retirement, but she's been sick since because she's got COVID. Mm-hmm. She had COVID, and she's tough. It's been tough for her, And now her sister's not well. Her sister was diagnosed yesterday with cancer, so she's had a tough time, And but we're there for each other, and that's more important than having big high bank accounts, etc.
That's
and
right.
having jobs that work you to the ground.
Right. Yeah.
We haven't learned that you don't need to work 15 hours a day. You know, you really don't. It's what's important to you is staring in your face, and you have to learn how to do that and take that. And the swimming for me has just been like, for me to know Caroline Block and Keith Gary and all these wonderful swimmers is just like Caroline comes over to us to swim with us, and Caroline comes up to the house and she just is part of the furniture, and she just sits in the kitchen and she talks away and sits out the back with us, and we have a glass of wine, and you know, and it's just, that's just Caroline, you know.
That's her. Yeah.
And
Do
that's
you know
just the
this?
way
Do you know a person called, I think his name is Niall O'Kroliak. Niall O'Kroliak. I think he has swum across the English Channel. Yeah. He was the 1000th person to swim across the English Channel.
I have a very funny story, actually, and I'm going to end in this.
Okay.
What's the funniest story ever happened to you in swimming?
I don't know.
No, but well, we were doing it at our hit the wall competition. One of the things we had to do was we had a big swim that morning, and then we had to tow each other across from pier to harbour. Okay, so no sympathy for me. I had to tow two guys across. One guy, a Polish fella who's 6'4", and Ger Kennedy, who's about 15, 16 stone. Ger's a big fella too. And I had to tow these two boys. So Ger was holding on to my leg, and Lucas was holding on to Ger's legs, and I'm swimming across. So I got to the end, and I said to Ger, now considering we'd been using energy gels and feeding and all this, I said to Ger, I feel sick, all right? And to Ger, I said, I'm going to throw up. And Ger says, well, throw up. So I threw up all over Ger. And I mean, I literally threw up all over his face and his head. And that's the highlight of my swimming career.
So you're still friends?
Yes.
Very good. This is beautiful. So David, we'll be in touch, okay?
Okay, listen, you keep well and look after yourself. Say hello to all your family. Absolutely. I will send a photograph of me and Martina to you. Okay. Cheers. And have a think what we've talked about, and you will take it from there.
Yes, we will.
Listen,
okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.